is the Levels Network. I am Justin Hoddle, joined by the Triple OG, William Mason. OG, I've said for the last, I reckon, 18 months, we pride ourselves on being a community-based podcast. We really rely on our listeners, whether it be on YouTube or audio or interacting with us on Instagram. We were supposed to have today off, mate. I went back and had a look at the show like I do always and start preparing my notes for the next week. We had over 220 comments off the back of the grand final.
I was shocked when you got like on the group chat and I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I said, done. Let's do it.
Yeah. So, look, it's only fair that we come on here straight away this week. Another part of it as well, and answer those questions for those who we've got some statements, we've got some stats. I love when our listeners throw out some stats for us that I might not have been aware of too. And we'll answer a few of the questions and some of the concerns or maybe some of the lack of praise that we had for certain players in the game. Because I sort of did it a bit different this year rather than I always try to mix it up a little bit. You know, sometimes in Origin we've done, individual players, player for player.
Yes.
Other times we've done games. I'm like, what are 2 or 3 sort of key points from each team? How can they improve? What do they do well? I had 5 takeaways because I thought it was I had that sort of feeling watching it. I feel like the game in itself was a little bit more arm wrestly and didn't have like super crucial moments on top of the real obvious ones.
No, it didn't.
So I thought maybe takeaways was the way to go. But our listeners have responded.
Did they agree or did they what?
Agree. Some agree, some disagree.
Oh.
And that's why I love doing this too, mate, because I don't always want our listeners to agree with us. I love
100%.
I love when they throw stuff out that
They're
makes
good.
me
The
think.
listeners actually, I look at some of the comments. I was on Instagram yesterday. I was like, they're pretty smart, man. I just don't have the patience to write back. It's too much.
Yeah, well, we don't, mate. I never write back.
Yeah.
But we bring it here, we put it in the show,
exactly.
and that's how we build out our show, and that's why I think we've got, with regards to rugby league podcasts, the fastest growing audience that just keep coming back. You know, once they people might not see us for the first time, but they want to come back. They want to be involved in the show. So here we are. We're here. Remember, you can find the BSC cans in 7-Eleven. May said it last week. It's about time. It's about damn time. You can get them everywhere these days. But I reckon 7-Eleven's the go at the moment.
I had to have a couple this morning.
Nice and easy. All right, let's kick off the show, mate. And we're going to get to I've got the Pacific Cup squads, and just like we did with the Australian team, I've got the information. I've got the squads for Tonga and New Zealand that broke while we're doing the episode on Tuesday. So I've laid out my team. I've got our first top 10 ranking. You haven't seen my list. I've got the criteria. We're going to start off with the fullbacks, and I reckon it is the most what's the word for it? Like hotly contested position with regards to talent in the competition. Easily. It was so hard.
Everyone wants to be a fullback now.
Yeah.
Everyone.
So I've got a criteria for you too, so it's easier to break down. There are going to be some players that I hope we don't agree on, because I want you to gas up some guys that maybe I left out that I feel a little bit guilty about. But we'll get to that in a bit. And I'm going to double down on my take on Olivia Koenig too, because some of the comments that I've seen with regards to what the coach said about her not getting picked, it's so off. It's pissed me off. All right, so let's get to Anika Naya. This one straight off the bat. Mason's breakdown of the game is legendary / freakish. He explains the game in a way where an upcoming coach will find it insightful, or a doctor doing a 9 to 5, or maybe a casual fan of the game will learn every single podcast. Perfect pair, no ego, complement each other so well.
I think that's the reason why it is popular, I suppose.
Yep, I agree.
We talk like it's like we're at a bar, right? That's what I find where I'm getting most of those compliments, right? Breaking games down. Because like you see me, you'll see me just like if I'm having a beer somewhere and someone comes up and asks a question, it's just like you're going to get the same answer at the bar than you're getting right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think I can put it in layman's terms and understand the game pretty well. And you sort of know your crowd who you're talking to, right?
Yeah.
You can't sit there and the game ain't that crazy, right?
It isn't, and we could break it down a little bit further if we wanted to, but I guess the beauty of what Anika's saying, and I agree with her, I echo it, mate, you do a really good job of some of the more technical things in the game, making it easier for people to understand. I think that's what people appreciate.
Yeah, and I think because it is quite technical when you're when you're watching video and you're doing all this kind of stuff and you're talking to a bunch of young dogs, you know what I mean, like who understand plays and different schemes and all that sort of stuff. But if you're breaking it down to someone who's never played at a high level, you're going to need to be able to do that.
Yep.
even like just talking to younger kids in pathways and trying to coach them like that, I think that's the secret as well.
That was going to be my next question, right? Because that's one thing you're really good at. When we played together, you've played at the highest level. Not everyone has played at your level. Yeah. So even with a guy like myself or some other guys that have been around and played footy, not every guy that goes into video actually understands what the game plan is, what we're actually trying to do out on the field. It's a funny one. I remember Willie Tonga when he played with me in 2011 and 12. He goes, I didn't understand it at the time.
Yeah.
He goes, we've got no footy IQ in our pack. And he comes from the Bulldogs pack with you, Sonny, Rennie, and all the rest who had really good footy. I was like, what do you mean? I didn't realise until I went to Manly what you meant by it.
Yeah, when you played like the middles, they know what's going on.
And that's like no disrespect to some veterans. We had some really good vets, but Hindy was at the back end.
Yeah.
Hindy was less of a communicator, more of a doer.
Just does.
Nathan Kalis only got 1 year with him. He had a pretty good footy brain. But then we had guys like, like respectfully to Fui straight off the back fence. Like his job's simple. And then we had a young upcoming pack.
Timmy Manor, all those young kids.
Timmy Manor was only 2 or 3 years into his career. So I understood it, and then I went to Manly, and I'm like mixing with Brent Kite and Jason King and Anthony Watmo and Glenn Stewart, and I'm like, oh, that's what Tong meant. And I think you do a really good job of that, of breaking it down and making it easier for, like you said, might be people that like the game, maybe not, and maybe some young, aspiring young kids as well.
Thanks for that.
All right, this one comes from John Crawford. I love this one too, by the way, and it's with regards to the golf day. Hey boys, I know the golf day spots are limited. What about a spot for the Levels follower of the year? It could be, consider this is my it could be the best comment or question of the year. Consider this my question for next year's spot. Keep up the great stuff. John Crawford, you are in the lead, mate.
Yeah.
And I love the idea. I'm going to give away a spot to the golf day next year, valued at $500 plus per person. That's how much it costs per person for us to get a person to the golf day with everything that we've got on the day. That's drinks carts, free drinks and food all day, carts, green fees, everything. About per person, on average, it was about $550 per person to pull the day off. So
that's a good shout.
There's a good value for all our listeners to get involved, and I love that shout, John.
Good
Crawford,
day too.
You're in the lead, mate. And actually, I'll do one better. I think you're overseas at the moment. I don't care where they are as well. So if you're overseas, I pay for flights for all the players to stay to get them accommodation. So if you're from New Zealand, if you're from Queensland, if you're from Melbourne, if you're from WA, I'll sort your flights and I'll sort your accommodation. There we go. So I'll boost the package up to over $1,000. I'll remember that. I'm going to keep that going all year next year. This one is from Dean Gonzalez. Since 1999, the Storm have 6 premierships. 5 runners-up, though. The Panthers have 5 premierships and 1 runner-up.
Is he counting 7 and 9?
He mustn't be.
No, I think they're the asterisk ones, eh?
Yeah.
So 8.
He's got 8.
Solid.
Yeah. The next 5 years, he wrote down, the next 5 years will tell who is the best of the modern era. He thinks the next 5 years can separate the Melbourne Storm and Panthers, and I agree with that. I reckon it's neck and neck.
Maybe even more. Give it more, I reckon, because when we broke it down the other day, like, you got to give Cleary a whole crop of players like Belly's gone through and just start doing that before he even gets near Bellamy. Like I thought about it the other day after, I'm like, Belly went through a whole nother, like two dynasties. 2 eras. And he's made it and he's got back to it. And everyone's been going, they're going to fall back to the pack. Nah, man. They just get stronger and rebuild. So
what if Penrith win 5 in a row?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Mate, Penrith's already there. I'm nearly putting Penrith above Melbourne. I nearly flipped the other day as well when I was like, I'd rather win 4.
Yeah.
I was just about to butt in. I was like, nah, fuck it. I'll leave it till next time. Yeah, I think I'd rather 4 than for sure 4 over 10 because I want them straight away. I don't want to play for fucking 15 years.
Well, and also too, like 4 in a row. No one's done it since that Dragons team of the others, like 60s and 70s. So, like that, you're in history. No. Like, you've won a premiership, mate. Sure, Clive Churchill, you go down.
No.
But to win 4 in a row, that's different,
row, bro. Like, that is come different, on, man.
Yeah,
it is. It hits different. That's what I was singing. I'm like, imagine, like, I think I said it on Channel 7 News. I was like, we won one and carried on like we won 20.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, imagine winning 4.
And
I mean, we didn't carry on, but it felt like it just didn't stop.
I'll throw another factor at you. Only Cam Smith won all of those grand finals. Like, it's not like everyone's a part of them, where they got at least 50% of their players who've got to do it together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
So, like, for the main portion of those premierships, you had Cam Smith, Billy Slater, and Cooper Cronk. all the rest where, chipped in GI for a couple.
Izzy.
Then Israel Folau had one.
Good players,
later on, you had Danger Nielsen and Will Chambers. And then a couple of years later, you had
Bromwich
guys.
brothers.
Yeah, Bromwich, but
Crocker.
So it's not like you guaranteed all of those premierships. If you it's only the big three that got all those premierships together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas at least 11 of these players have shared that fucking together.
Yeah, I agree. And that's what I was thinking about as you were speaking, the next question. I was like, fuck, I'd probably rather 4 in a row straight away.
Well, we've got the answer now.
As a player.
That's why we've done the show.
Yeah.
This one is from Kyle, I think it's Kyle Kluss. Hey guys, love the show. I was wondering, have you guys heard about the theory that when the Panthers beat you in the GF, they take everything from you. They take your soul. For example, every team Panthers have beaten the GF go on to miss the 8 and sack their coach.
Yeah,
do you guys see this happening to Melbourne? If they do this to Melbourne, if Melbourne missed the 8 off the back of this grand final loss, it would be...
I'll believe that statement.
It would be one of the... You would not want to play. You'd almost not want to get to the grand final next year and play the Panthers because you're going to lose and you're going to not make the top 8 and you're going to lose your job.
And it's three clubs as well, right?
So the difference with South Sydney, though, quickly, is Wayne Bennett moved on because he was always moving on. And he was done before it. But Jason Demetriou ended up getting the sack.
I get it, but still it happened. But 3 massive clubs.
Yeah, huge clubs.
Biggest clubs in our game. That's what I'm saying. Like South, Para, and Brisbane.
You're right. They're huge clubs.
That's the thing. It's like, no, you did it to the Titans or someone pretty new or, or
unstable.
Even the
Cowboys or something like that.
It's like you've done it to 3 household clubs.
That's a fair point.
That's crazy. You can't do it to Melbourne.
If they do it to Melbourne, that is unbelievable with the roster that they got. But if that continues going into next year,
something is probably going to be another grand final, Penrith and Melbourne.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. That seems like the most obvious one. With watch out for the Broncos. We've got some actually just before we move on to that because we're looking at. I've got the Tab NRL futures for 2025 from the Tab. They're at the moment. So still not respecting Penrith. They're not favourites with the amount of the Melbourne are favourites. $3.75. Penrith $5. That sounds right. 5 for 5. Yeah. Get on $5 for 5. What are you really gambling with?
I'll be backing that big time.
Brisbane $9, third favourite. You like that with matchup?
You just got to think of every other team. Are they ascending or declining? I think the Bulldogs are ascending. I think Cronulla are probably going to stay around the same. Maybe a little bit up.
Stop there, right there. Yeah. Bulldogs and Cronulla $13 each. Fourth line of betting.
Yeah,
next down.
Well, that's it, right? And then everything else is up for grabs. I reckon. The Roosters are going to come back a little bit.
Roosters and Manly on 15s.
It's about right.
Yep. And Souths and North Queensland, they're on $17. Souths are a smoky at 17s with Wayne.
What's the Wayne Bennett factor, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's just going to bring a lot.
Yep. I think
it's about right, but
yeah, I think if you were looking for a little bit of value early on, maybe in the season, and you could maybe cash out a little bit later on, then I think maybe South could be the bet because I reckon Wayne will get the best out of South Sydney.
Just looking at Penrith, right? You got Isaiah Papali'i. I think he's in the last couple of years been coming from an edge into the middle, gravitating into the middle. Might have lost a metre of pace maybe, but he runs the ball hard. He's got a skill set, right?
Really
so imagine if he just takes Fisher's spot, which I think he could.
Do you think that's the more likely?
Yeah, or him and Lindsay Smith and that, they'll be going at it. It's going to be Lindsay Smith. You got the young kid,
Liam Henry.
Liam Henry's going to be going for it. Leota's going to be the alpha there. But Papali'i's going to slide straight back in there, I think. Then you got Sorensen probably getting a full year. You got Garner. Then you got Blaze Salungi just coming at 5'8".
One to watch out for?
Because Grubb broke it down pretty good on his podcast. Yeah. To play in that system, you don't have to be a superstar.
Yeah.
It just happened that Luai become a superstar. But at the start, he was taking his time behind Jimmy Maloney and trying to get his break, all that kind of stuff. Then I don't think people thought that he was going to be as big a player, as good a player as he was, Luai.
Well, that's interesting because I remember the chat from I did a podcast with Nathan early on. Jerome was actually the dude growing up. He was the star. Nathan had to sort of figure out his way. This is like junior footy. This is like 17s. That changes a lot. Once they got to first grade, Nathan ended up playing first grade a whole heap earlier, and then Jerome had to find his way. I've always said my biggest compliment on Jerome all these years has been the lack of ego with regards to not overcomplicating and not wanting to be, when he's copped cop criticism and taken that so well, but he's been team first.
He has all the way. And I just think Blaze Slangy could probably come in. Obviously, hasn't got the footwork like Luai. He probably runs a little bit more straight. But he's going to hold that left side and dominate the hell out of it.
Play wide fours.
Just play wide fours.
Yeah.
And you got to account for him all the time. If you give a 4 in 30 metres, he's taking that on all the time.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to smoke your A and B.
He's
you got Alamotti, and you could probably replace a winger with Taruva. You got those young twins coming up.
Yeah, the
McLean could probably sit on one of them could sit on the wing for a couple of years.
Yep.
Again, it's swap in and out, and then you got all these other young kids that are probably in reserve grade that have got a chance probably to play first grade somewhere. They're going to go. There's probably 2 spots on the bench there.
Yeah,
and they're going to be going for it. You think those young kids are going? Fuck, I don't. As soon as you get your spot there, you want to stay. So it's that whole thing. Iron sharpens iron. They're always out there, just getting better and better and better. And I think they've put in place a culture which is similar to Melbourne, right? Next man up mentality. I want to be in that jersey. I want to win premierships because that's what you're nearly guaranteed out there now.
Well, they've got proof of it.
4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm just I was just thinking about it the other night. I was like, they're probably going to win 5. If Melbourne don't come with a Stefano and Big Nas and all these other players just make another step up and good luck with that, right? Because everyone's got to be playing at a high level with no injuries and everybody killing it. They seem to do that every year.
If there's one club that's been as consistent,
it's Melbourne.
It's Melbourne. So yeah, you're right.
So everyone else, I'm going,
yeah.
Good luck.
Wait and see.
They need to have off year, Penrith and Melbourne, for them not to get into the grand final.
And that's not going to happen. So you're going to have to play above what you are. Yeah. And there will be teams that play above.
And every other team, like the Dogs, Cronulla, North Queensland, Cowboys, Broncos, Roosters, they're the ones that are going to be going, how do we get past this?
I think Roosters are rebuild next year.
Rebuild, yeah. I'm not even looking at them like they're going to be like I was this year. The only reason why I did look at them this year is because sort of last dance mentality.
Yeah, OGs. Proper
They're
OGs.
all done now.
Here's one for you just before we move off Penrith Panthers. Could you see a world in which Liam Martin moves into the front row?
No, not yet.
You don't think so?
Not yet, nah.
Do you reckon? I reckon
just another 2 or 3 more years out there, right forward.
Less to do with more like he's not declining, but like the presence that he would have in the middle with Leota.
If they have no middle.
Yeah.
If Leota or like Isaiah or Yowie wasn't in there, then you'd put him in.
Okay, I agree with you on that. I think they'll try Lindsay Smith to begin with, and if they're lacking with a little bit of punch and all that sort of stuff, they can move Liam Martin into the middle at times. Yeah,
and you can do it Sorensen as well. They've got back rows that can easily just slot into lock, right, or in the middle there, lock front row. You don't have to be like
off a kickoff though. I could just.
I think to preserve that human, right, that wild man out on the edge is a reason why everything's explosive. Right?
Yeah.
Because he's not like non-stop in the middle. He can get out there, even though it's the hardest position on the field, I think, right for. He's still not in the middle with Yowie and all that sort of stuff.
You can conserve your energy.
Conserve a little bit. Yep. Front load when he wants to, because that's why everything you do that Liam Martin does is 100%.
Remember,
he's got good middles, mate.
Also, mate, what are you really gambling with for free and confidential support? Call 1-800-858-858. When we randomly talk a little bit about odds there, we're not placing a bet anyway at this time, but just thought that was interesting to bring up. Yeah. Let's kick it off with the YouTube replies, and let's stay on with the Panthers. So there's a lot of chat around the Panthers. This one comes from Monkey C. Luai has gone under the radar for having one of the best years. Carried the team without Nathan for a lot of the season. Had an outstanding Origin series and played awesome in the GF. Losers will still find a way to hate and bring him down. This one's from Leonidas. Laugh out loud. Is it just me, or did it seem like Scope was a little pissed off at Luai, who got the best of his mate Munster? Laugh my arse off.
Surely not.
If the Storm players do have a go at Luai and Taruva next year at the Tigers, that'll make them look stupid. All right, Leonidas. I also said at the back end of that clip, so if you're just purely watching the clip, that Munster would have done it to Luai.
Yeah, you did say that.
I did say that, and I was all for it. I love characters like Luai in the game. Yeah. I would argue that me and you, Mace, have been the biggest supporters of Luai's in the last 2 years. When people were questioning his price tag, we were saying the Tigers should pay him $1.2 million to get him because that's what it's going to require, and that's the sort of player he can be. That was before he did what he did this year and showcased it. Even at the Penrith Panthers, they had their doubts. You know, Ivan has that comment last year about whether he can actually run a team. He's proved that. Through the middle part of the year for Penrith, he had a really good Origin series as well, very close to the
Wally
Lewis medal, in my opinion. And with regards to Munster, not pissed off at all with Luai. No. I actually said in the clip, so if you go back and watch the clip, Munster would have done it to him. I'm just saying he's now going to be at the Tigers. They're probably not going to be as successful as the Penrith Panthers. I think that's a fair assessment. And this is how we are as players. We're petty. We get pissed off.
You have to be petty these days, man.
If someone talks shit to you on that bigger stage and you get a chance to reply when they're either their team, even if Luai if they digressed at Panthers and you get an opportunity, that's just what comes with professional sports. If you get an opportunity to one-up them later on down the road, when they've talked shit to you before in the past, man. That's what I was getting at. And that
you got the receipts from 2020, man.
And just because it's the Tigers, that won't make them look stupid. No, those same players were playing for a different team and they were talking shit. So if you get an opportunity, we're petty, aren't we? Are we petty, mate?
Very petty.
We're petty human beings.
We're more petty, like, in today's game because you can't fight.
Yeah.
So the only thing you do have is your mouth, and you got to back it up as well. And Luai's done that in spades. Agreed. Munster does it as well. So all these great players, man, some great players. You think you're good mates and that on the field, they will spray the shit out of you. There's no. I don't know, with some guys like Joey and like JT and that, you be in some things there, they will just absolutely hammer you.
Nasty.
Real nasty shit, right? When you're one of the greats and you're like that, you just get mad competitive and you say whatever the fuck you want. And like, I think Luai's like that as well.
Luai's always going to be that dude. And he's going to try to bring that energy to the Tigers
Would Luai have made the Aussie team if he made himself available? Would he make instead of being available for Samoa, just say Samoa wasn't as big as it was now. Just say when we were playing, right? When I was playing, what would Luai get the 6 for the Australian team if it was a Four Nations now?
Yeah, well, considering the lineup that they've got no Munster, no Cleary, no Cherry Evans wasn't picked.
Right, yeah, put everyone available.
Yes.
Everyone's available. Munster, Cleary's there, everyone. No, in the last 2 or 3 years, would Luai be playing for Australia?
Not with Munster and Cleary, no. On this current team that I named the other day, yes, I think he gets the nod over Tommy Dearden. And I'd play Tommy Dearden 14 off the bench.
Yeah.
That would be my
That's what I was thinking.
Mitch Moses, and I think they deserve it after the Origin Series. Not only the Origin Series win, but the fashion in which Mitch Moses and Jerome Luai stepped up in that game against Tommy Dearden, who was out. He was, apart from Paddy Carrigan, Tommy Dearden was the second best player for Queensland. But had a cracking season. But yeah, I'd go Jerome and Mitch Moses.
Would he grab the couple of Test jerseys, you reckon? In the last 4 years, like him and Cleary have been like, just say it's a perfect world and everybody's available. In the last 4 years, does Luai get the 6 on his back ever in a Test series?
Not guaranteed, no.
With Munster there,
not guaranteed. Yes, Munster's available. I think Munster plays.
Pushing for it, eh?
Yeah.
If they're going for combinations. And I always think of that. I'm like, because the Polynesian game, which is great, it's right at its peak and everyone's playing for their country what they want to. And I just think, imagine if it was like 20 years ago where the Islander game wasn't as big, like when I was playing, and all the best played for Australia.
Yeah.
Or New Zealand.
Yeah.
It'd be hard.
Question.
Yeah. Always look at it like that. I'm like, that's how I put players in their order in my head. I'm like, would he play for Australia 20 years ago if everybody was like, fucking, you know,
what do you think?
I think he would have jagged a couple of tests, but because of Munster.
Yeah.
Because Munster's been there for 4, and he's at his peak Munster in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Even don't worry about the injuries and everything. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, his age and where he's at in his game. You're talking Wally Lewis medal like 2 or 3 years ago. Like he's been in the middle of that.
Yeah.
And the dominance from Queensland as well. Like there's probably 2 all in the last couple of years.
Everyone knows I'm the biggest Munster fan. I've got a good relationship with him over the years. Is he due a big Origin series, a big season? Like,
just needs to be on the field, and he'll give you that.
I know. My question is though, best ability is availability. Yeah. The groin took him a while. Jerome Hughes I'm talking about, goes on and has this stellar season. He has to buy into what's working there this year.
Yep.
Does he need sort of need to take another step there too?
I don't think so. I think he just needs to keep doing what he's doing. He just needs to be available for that team and for Queensland and for Australia.
Because that level he's playing at 2 or 3 years ago with like basically he had cobwebs on him.
Yeah. And he's ridiculous. Like he's another level. That's what I mean. Like the only thing that's haltering that pace to greatness is a few injuries and groin injuries. You can't have. I mean, like you'd rather fix the knee, done. Groin, you can. Fuck.
And also, he's now got to that status of like Nathan.
Easy. He's an elite.
Yeah, he's got that elite status where all of the homework that they do on the team going in will be fucking 40% of the review and preview will be on Munster, Jerome Hughes, and 20% the rest of the team.
And just don't even waste your time on guys like that as well. You know what they're going to do. You got to stop it.
Yeah.
You can do all the fucking video you want on Andrew Johns or JT. What are you going to like?
You still got to.
They're going to do their things. Right?
They'll find weaknesses.
Yeah, they're going to get you. You know, you just got to stop it. He's at that level.
Another big shout out, and this one's from Mr. Omanen. Mr. Some of these names, it's because there's no like.
Just do your best, mate.
Mirrorman. I thought Mitch Kenny went under the radar. How hard he tackled, he must have shaken the defence, the confidence of the Storm players trying to come through the middle.
He's an awful person to run it. When he hits, like he sticks, right? Yeah. Like you see sometimes when you never really see Kenny because you're always looking at Leota and Fish and Yowie. They're big bodies, but when they run, they're trying to get into that A gap or something like that, and they just get stopped. And it's like, it's Kenny straight away.
Yeah, you do.
You do. You know, when he hits, because people's bodies just stop.
I know what you mean by that as well. Sometimes you see a flash go through and and then you lose him because he's not as big as other players.
Yeah. And then you just know it's Kenny.
And you go, that was Kenny.
That's
for Kenny.
Sure.
And then he gets out and you can see his fucking...
Because a guy might be stepping, boom, 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 trying to find a little bit of a gap. He might be coming from the open side or this, marker dropping back. He works so hard, crack. Yeah. And you stop in your tracks. You could be the biggest bloke on the field. And that's what he does.
We had a few...
And I never, ever go past Kenny because I know exactly how much work he does.
100%, yeah. I'm a huge
massive
Kenny fan. If you've only just...
surely he's close to a green and gold jersey.
Well, that was going to be my next point. We've had a few people reaching out saying that he must have been a chance over guys like Ben Hunt who've been around a little bit longer. I was calling for Mitch Kenny as my rotation hooker with Reece Robson this year for New South Wales. I think he would dominate Origin.
I reckon in that meeting that they had to pick Robson, it was either Robson or Kenny.
Yeah, okay.
I reckon that would have been it because they're very similar. They both hit like trucks. They're both like not fancy as hell with the ball. You know what I mean? They're not taking markers out. They're not like Harry Grant. They're very old school, traditional sort of Steve Walters sort of hookers, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean by that.
You know, so I reckon the conversation would have been, do we go with Robson? Do we go with Kenny? It's like a coin flip.
Yeah.
And then whoever gets the run just goes with it. I reckon that's halted his rep jerseys.
I reckon a part, might sound weird to people, I reckon a part that's cost Mitch Kenny is that he plays for Penrith and
undervalued.
Well, also undervalued through that, and also the perception of having too many Penrith players in there. It got to a point where they're like, Jerome
can't have the hooker.
A couple of years ago, people will question Jerome. He's only in there because of fucking Nath. Dylan Edwards would only make it because he's only part of the Penrith system. Like they just would bag all the players that were Penrith players because you'd have 5 or 6 players. It's like jealousy from around the league, from around the fan bases from all the other leagues that there were too many Penrith players in there. I reckon that's cost Mitch Kenny. Yeah. And if it did come down to a coin flip,
I reckon it would have.
Reece Robson, I think they can play together. I think you don't necessarily need that flary Connor Watson sort of type of player anymore. I love that Connor made his debut and won his series this year. But I think Origin's played through the middle anyway, and Mitch Kenny.
It is. And you think as if that one of those blokes couldn't drop back to lock?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You could play either of them in the front row if it was like...
So Cam Smith was doing back in his career?
Well, Cam McInnes did it, right?
Yeah.
They played Cam McInnes in game 1 and you played him in the front row or middle or whatever and he can do a job. So the big Mitch Kenny guys here
massive
at level. So you're barking up the right tree there. He was outstanding and we probably didn't give a couple of players like that and Paul Alamotti and other guys.
They all played out. So there wasn't a bad player amongst the Penrith team.
No.
That's all I'm saying.
All right, this one is regards to the immortality chat. So a whole bunch of chat around Fish. There was heaps of James Fisher-Harris chat. So the question from Country Todd is, if Fish wins a World Cup and takes the Waz to their first ever title, he has to be a massive chance for immortality. The next one comes from Riker Night Eyes. Could James Fisher-Harris be a future immortal? 4 rings, a golden boot winner, and still more to come. So he's only, 28, 29 Fish, so he's still got a bit of career to get going as well. And this one's from Asman. Regarding New Zealand possible immortals, Sonny Bill Williams should be an immortal. I don't care that he didn't play many years in the NRL. He won a comp as a rookie and then come back and won again in 13, being one of the best in the world in the other code. He also won the World Cup, if I'm not mistaken. Did he? Did Sonny win the World Cup for rugby?
Rugby union or league?
Rugby union.
Yeah, he won 2.
Yeah. Oh, did he win 2, did he?
11 and 15.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know he won. I thought he won 1. I didn't realise.
11 15. I thought
there was one year
Japan in 19.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Otherwise, James Fisher-Harris could get into the discussion with taking the Wars to a big finals run in the coming years or captain New Zealand to a World Cup. So
it sounds interesting, right? That sounds interesting, like resume-wise. You'd think something like that, but you got to go by the eyeball test. Do you know what I mean? I think Fisher's an absolute beast, no doubt, but I don't look at him and go, he's going to be immortal. You look at him going, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
It's harder, in my opinion.
So hard.
It's harder for forwards. It's just like
it is. That's what I'm saying. Like, you need to be like fucking doing Sonny Bill Williams 2004 for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be doing like peak Sam Burgess for like 15 years of your career.
Well, think about the
forwards are so different, man.
Think about the Dally M Awards. Think about the Clyde Churchill. So Liam Martin was the first forward to win it since Sam Burgess. So that's a 10-year gap.
Yeah.
With regards to the Dally M medal winner, that's Jason Tomalolo, I believe.
Yeah.
He's the last forward to win it. So the eyeball test is, and it's so much harder. And I think we maybe got to twist our thinking with it, mate. Because
I'd put Taumalolo as, I reckon he's the best forward to play the game.
Yep, Jason
Taumalolo's peak, no one's going to fuck with. No one. I don't give a shit what anyone says.
Yep.
He's the best forward to ever play the game.
There was a 5-6 year span.
That peak is you can't be touched.
Yeah,
cannot be touched. From 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, something like that, it's been ridiculous.
How many comps did Jace win?
He's won 1.
Just 1.
15, been in 7. Played in 17.
Played in 17. He arguably was the most.
And then you're probably going to go just say he's not going to play. He's not going to be an immortal.
No,
I would put him there because I think he's the best forward of all time. You put him in any fucking era, he will destroy anything from 1908.
Yeah,
anything.
That peak was unstoppable.
Ridiculous.
Wasn't it? Yeah,
and I'll put him at probably the number 1 forward, best forward ever.
Yeah. If Sonny had stayed in league, do you think he might have
Sonny's
been a
most
chance?
skillful forward he's ever played.
But like because of that big gap that he missed.
Yeah, that's the only reason why he hasn't. Because like guys like Taumalolo and Sam Burgess and that, they put in like 250, 200 plus games. Like, and Sonny fucked around. And still killed our game. Come back. People don't put it. They won't take into account that he left. He come back. He won a comp. He dominated. He went over to. He's one of the best cross-code hoppers of all time. And then people still say Brad Thorne, everything. I get it, but like, people know what players are.
Yeah.
Brad Thorne's a big monster, right? But you're looking at skill sets and how to play the game. SBW, there's no one better.
Yeah.
Can play 12, can play 13, can play lock over here, back row, front row. Like the skill set is phenomenal.
Do you reckon if Sonny had stayed through the middle part, didn't go to Union during that time where he's winning World Cups and he won 2 more comps, do you reckon he's the closest that anyone gets?
He's the closest.
Did you see the comment one of them had like Glenn Lazarus in it?
Oh yeah, Glenn Lazarus is another one too, where 3 competitions, 3 different teams, but it's the same thing, right? It's
a forwards thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like you've got to do shit like.
But we should, I reckon, as forwards,
I know.
We should change the narrative with that.
I'm like Sam Burgess, Sonny Bill, and Taumalolo, 3 of the greatest forwards in the modern day era.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah.
And I always say, like, the eras count, right? They do count because you've got to play in every fucking era. And if you're in the 80s, you're a gun 80s player, could you play in today's game?
Yeah.
Could you do that? Or could you only play in the 80s when it was slow and it was very fucking tough and it was a different sort of game, right? It was nowhere near as fast. So if you think you're an immortal or a great player, you need to be able to play in 2020s, 2010s, 2000s. Can your skill set cross codes into the 90s, 2000s, all that, then you'll be like known as one of the greats. Where I know for a fact, SBW, Taumalolo, and Sam Burgess can play in any era.
Yeah, gotcha. I know what you mean by that.
I think
a guy like you, we'll have to go through like guys like Artie Beetson would play any era.
And I don't say any. There's some players from the 80s that I think can go into every era, and there's some players that probably wouldn't get past the 80s.
Yeah. Just quickly before we move off that, I think we've got to change the thinking because of the wear and tear of the position as well through the middle with how important front rows were. Halves, you look at it now. We've got Adam Reynolds still in the game. We've got Sean Johnson playing at a high level before he retired this year. Daly Chair Evans. It's easier or not easier.
It's different, eh? When you name those players when they're in their 34, that's because the position is fucking. It's positional football, right? Like sevens can go to the line now. You touch them a little bit, penalty. They're very protected. The sevens. That's why their longevity has gone through the roof.
My point was going to be the wear and tear.
We're not.
Yeah. So front rowers, you look at what's happening with Jace right now, who's getting to the age of 30 and played at a high level. The body is starting to get a bit banged up.
Sam Burgess, body banged up.
Yep.
Sonny Bill, all of us just get fucked up.
Yeah.
Because of the hits. Like, look at guys like Joey and JT, their body's banged up because they could go near the line and Cronk and that. They get flogged 3 or 4 meters after it. Now, like, if you're a 7, you go near the line, boom, pass the ball, bang, you get touched. You get touched as a kicker, anything like that, which I'm all for. I'm all for that. So you're becoming like a quarterback now. You can't touch these little fuckers.
Yeah.
But it's great, right? It's great. So your longevity's going through that.
We're seeing our best players play more.
Middles are just getting hammered more and more and more. 6 to go, non-stop pressure, inside pressure, kick pressure, everything like that. Play massive minutes. If you're not playing 60 minutes, you're not going forward.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, you got to play 60. If I'm telling the young kid, if you can't give me like 40, 50 minutes off the bench for your start of your career,
you're not
good luck, son.
Team. Yeah,
you're not going to make. They're going to pick another kid who can play bigger minutes than you. He's nowhere near as big as you, but he's way more effective in tackles. He does way more reliable than you. You might be 6 foot 415 kilos. Look like Tarzan. You play like Jane, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a mentality.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, I wonder if we ever will see, like, Fisher's a good shout. Like, with regards to credentials, he's got to be right up their resume. And if he was to do something crazy, like take the Wales to their first premiership and as skipper win a World Cup for New Zealand, man, it'd be very hard. Like, he would be, again, like I said before with Nathan, it's very hard to deny a resume. That would be a hard resume to deny.
Yeah, but they still would deny it.
They'll find a way for middles. And I feel like we've got to somehow change that narrative.
It's going to be hard, because is there a middle? Johnny Raper's in there. That's about it. And he was Lockish,
and that was a different game.
Different era, bro.
Different era. Yeah. All right, this one upset a few Penrith fans, Mace. It was more of the way it was perceived by a couple of fans was that I was hating on the Panthers and hating on Bizza.
Really?
It was actually the opposite. So my Bizza prediction was almost a reward with regards to financially setting himself up long term.
Yeah, I understood that.
Capitalising. I know you understood it, but sometimes you've got to explain it a little bit more. This one comes from Tayon Thier. And he sort of agrees as well. I love this comment. And not just because you agree, but I've also got a comment with someone disagreeing with me as well. I wouldn't be too mad if Bizza left. A bunch of those players have achieved a lot at Penrith, but I feel like starting fresh at a new club and taking on more of a leadership role whilst improving it like Critter's done at the Bulldogs would look much better on the resume than staying at a top squad and continuing to win. It's more of a challenge, which is why I also applaud what Luai is about to go through at the Tigers, because that's one hell of a challenge. So I agree with you there, Tayon. Not necessarily like, I don't think, I wouldn't discredit the players for staying at all.
I think if in a perfect world, they'd all stay.
Yes. And if they could all get paid and I guess rewarded with no salary cap,
they're all there.
Then you might see the Dragons' record of 11 in a row get broken, because they would all stay there. If they could all get paid what their worth is, then I've got no issue with any of them leaving. But with a few of the other boys moving on, some of his close friends, this is why I tossed it up. This one comes from the General. We can't afford to let Brian To'o go. He's too important. We would have got a little upgrade after that drama this season. He'd be maybe 600K? Is 800K really that much more?
Yes.
Agree.
200.
200 more.
Quick math.
Over
4 years.
Over 4 years, so that's an extra 800,000. The only lure I could see is playing with Luai at the Tigers if they offered him $1 million. And I agree with that last bit with regards to if you are the Tigers, if you are the Bulldogs, if you are Manly, I would pay him $1 million. Manly nowhere near Toto. I think the only two teams he would leave and go play for are the Tigers and Bulldogs. And the reason I say that is because of the relationship. And those two clubs would make him, and he is an absolute outlier, because not only do you get the player of Brian Toto, you get probably the best human in the competition. You get no ego arriving. And his social media presence, and I'm not saying this tongue in cheek, and with regards to his value with what he does. So we always talk about the pretty boys, Calvin Pongers, Reece Walsh, what they bring for endorsements. I reckon Brian To'o's value with just those ads that he does for the Penrith boys and some of the shit that he does for the social media at Penrith, that's worth a couple of $100,000 to me if I'm a CEO. And I'm paying Brian Toto $1 million, and I'm trying to pair him up with whether the Bulldogs or the Tigers with his best mates, with whoever he
loves Critter.
Loves Critter. Loves Critter. Best
mates.
Best man, Jerome Law. I think he might be in trouble with the Tigers there, Mace. But
hates orange.
That's my thought process behind it, Penrith fans, and some of you guys. I want the best for Brian Toto. I think Penrith want the best for Brian Toto, and if there is a world in which they go, there might be an opportunity for him to play elsewhere and maximise his earnings in this little window. And this is the last one. This one pissed me off. This is the one I want to address. So this is a bit of sarcasm from Bano. So Panthers need to release Toto because he can't keep producing and should let him cash in. Fair enough. However, you're relying on another club paying him overs because, as you say, he can't keep producing. Bano, you missed the point completely. I said he's in a window for the next 2 or 3 years. There will be a world in which Brian Toto declines. I love where he's at right now. Brian, have a look at Jason Taumalolo. Jason Taumalolo had a good end to the back end of the season, but he's nowhere near that Jason Taumalolo from 2 or 3 years ago. So this is the window that he needs to cash in. 600K is unders for him. If Penrith were to improve that and he wanted to stay and he gets to 800, 850, perfect world. Bang, he gets to stay at Penrith. He gets his deal topped up. If the Bulldogs and Tigers were to offer him $1 million, I'd be also stoked for those clubs and Brian Toto as well.
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. We just want the best for him. And if the best for him is like staying there in Penrith, so be it.
Stay
there. But pay him what he's worth. Don't try and get the kid on unders, man. He's been I know he's a junior and everything like that, and they're probably leaning on all that sort of stuff, and he's from the area, but like, come on, man. He's in his peak right now. And as I said, like when you measure 800 or 900, which you can get on the open market over 4 years, like you're talking nearly $1 million. And you're probably searching for that $1 million when you're retired.
For sure you are.
You know, like, and he's done all that. He's done all that work for Penrith.
Yep.
I just want him to get paid accordingly. Surely there's a third party out there that can just go, hey, can you just shut up? Here's whatever. Obviously under the cap.
So under the cap, yeah, because like Brian Toto's not doing anything dodgy.
I'm just saying, like, surely there's sponsors and stuff like that, and I don't know. And this is
maybe there is. And this is what I want to clarify as well. I've never had a knock on the Penrith Panthers for the deal that they did, because at the time they paid Brian Toto good money, probably 2 or 3 years ago when they re-signed him, and that was good money for a winger, and he was still ascending. He'd probably only won a couple of competitions at that time, but with the players that have now moved on and the salary cap that they might have been able to keep,
it's changed.
Put in a little bit away for Jerome if he'd stayed. They would have anticipated the money that Fish has left now that he's moved back to New Zealand for family reasons. So I think there's a world where maybe it's
not today's price.
Maybe it's been done. Maybe this is all just for no reason. I just think it went super quiet too quick. I know he addressed it and said he didn't want to move on. But me and you have been in rugby league circles before, mate. We know when something
like that. Keep it open. Keep this. This will be a little bit of a noise throughout the preseason, I reckon. He'll get through all this kind of stuff that, you know, the tour and everything like that. And
no, he's out for the tour, so he's going to sit out.
So he's not playing at all?
No, he's not. No, he's got the knee injury. We'll get to the Samoan.
And then he won't go back to train till next year. All that sort of stuff. He probably hold.
So I disagree with you on that last little bit. I don't think there'll be any noise around it. I reckon if he gets a deal done with Penrith, there'll be no fanfare. He's not the sort of guy.
I'm just saying if this isn't settled, right, and it's like there's a little bit of noise around there.
No, but and that I think it'll just be done. It'll be one of those things that it'll come out and go bang. This is done. That's
I hope it is.
Yeah, that's my prediction for if it does happen.
Gone.
And there could be a world in which there maybe is conversations and it doesn't eventuate and we never hear anything about it. I think because of the person, like I said.
What if it's the other way? Like you see that he doesn't want. He's not going to sign. He wants. He wants out. Like that's not going to be quiet.
No, I think he's too good of a human for that. Yeah? I think he would. He's not the sort of guy to kick up a fuss if that wasn't. I think if Bizza goes,
managers and that alike, but once if that gets out into the news, which it always fucking does. That's what I'm saying. Like it's I know that's Bizza as a person, everything like that, but like this is a whole nother world of media.
Yeah.
And once if they get a hold of that, that'll be big.
Some managers do it the right way though.
Yeah,
not all managers are the same. So I don't know whose managers are, but it's just something that I thought was.
We just want more money for him. That's all.
That's what I want.
all it is.
That's what I want.
all I want for him. Like to get paid what he's worth.
I don't care if he stays at Penrith or goes anywhere else.
If he stays Penrith, gets paid well, stay.
I want business.
And if he goes somewhere else and gets way more money, we're happy. Both ways.
Perfect way to finish. Perfect way to finish.
I'm not trying to ruin the dynasty out there. Fuck.
No, and I'm not trying to take him away from Penrith because I'm jealous of Penrith in any way.
The best for Brian Tyler. That's it.
I want him to get paid according to what his worth is.
That's
right
all
now.
it is.
This one is from Kai Follows. Hey boys, not sure if you will see this comment. We've seen it. But just in regards to the talk about Bellamy ending the Penrith dynasty next year, do you think it will be as satisfying for him because he wouldn't be ending the dynasty of 21 to 24? He will be ending the dynasty for sure of guys like Cleary, Yeo, Martin, Leota, Edwards that are still at the club, but he will never get that revenge on the squad that started it all. Critter, Rome, Kicks, Uppy, Fish, and many more.
They're all gone.
Me personally, I feel like the next year would be a year too late. So this is the point of it, and it's a good question. I like it.
Right.
With regards to how satisfied he would feel ending that version of the dynasty. Would love to hear your thoughts, guys, on the next potty. Triple OG.
Yeah, I get it. I'm like,
it's a good question.
It would be way more satisfying if they had Appy and Kicks and Critter. But they're all gone. They weren't there this year.
Yes, I know, but I think this is
the last hurrah. You reckon, like the proper last dig at it? I don't think so.
I think the importance of Jerome and Fish. They're the two.
Yeah,
if you're going to end it with some satisfaction, I've got massive respect for Critter. I reckon if anyone's watched a potty, everyone knows how much I love Critter and how important he was. Before going into the grand final, I argue he could be the second most important player in this dynasty with some of the big moments he come up with.
Yeah.
But with regards to the villain of all villains, Jerome, and the enforcer, we said he's the alpha.
That's it.
Fish.
That's it. You want the revenge on those two.
If you wanted to end the dynasty and feel like you did end the dynasty, I think you had to end it.
It was this year because you still, as you said, like you still got those two integral parts of that team, right?
Yeah.
They're massive for Penrith.
Yeah.
Then you get Isaiah Papali'i, Blaise Talangi.
Yep.
You end it there. I'm not sure if Belly's like that sort of vindictive person, right? I don't think so. He just he wants to end it. I don't think he wants to end it. He just wants to win it. Yeah. That's what Belly's like. He don't give a shit if you're at the end of your dynasty or whatever. We still won. Melbourne. It's not about you. It's not about you, Penrith. And that's how they'll probably try and switch the narrative and try and say some dumb shit like that. But I don't think Belly gives a fuck. He just wants his young men down there to win. And he wants to win.
Well, let's clarify something. Belly never said anything like that.
No, we're just making it up.
So we're making up the narrative
I'm just thinking, but I don't think Belly is that crazy like that. He's just all about Melbourne Storm.
I think he's got a bit of dog in him, Bellamy.
We don't know what he's like when he's around the fucking table.
Yeah, see, I've got an assumption from an outsider looking in, and again, just watching Bellamy, I think he's got that dog in him where he'd be like, I'd love to end that shit.
Yeah, it would have been.
And I reckon
this year, but
I reckon that's what makes the greats great.
Yeah.
Like wanting to beat the best, like I've always said.
Yeah, but it was this year.
That's why I threw it out there.
But it was this year.
I think it's a good comment, right?
Yeah, it's a good comment, but I don't. It's you had to end it now.
Yeah,
because of Luai and Fish. That's it.
Yeah, but you still happily end it next year.
Gladly just end something, right? Just end the Penrith dynasty.
I think the entire league would welcome Melbourne Storm even winning it if they can't get the job done. All right, that's enough of the Penrith stuff. There you go, Panthers fans. I think we gave you the amount of respect that you deserve.
Yeah, of course.
Let's move on to the KP situation. We're back. So this has been funny. This has had so many layers. This one's from James McFarlane. Hey, legends, regardless of how you feel about the KP situation as a whole, I think it's hard to compare it to Jamie Lyon's rep career call. Blokes like Jamie Lyon and even Jack Whiten fully retired from rep duties.
Okay.
So no international or state team selections. That in mind lends the better argument to what you are prioritising your club first. That would mean you wouldn't miss the potential 6 weeks in the middle of the year or a full preseason. That's also a good shout. I reckon the NRL saw KP wanting to have his cake and eat it too. Agreed. So no Australian duties, but still reap the benefits of the Queensland jumper. I think that's played a part in this for sure.
Big time.
But 100% Mel cracked the shits out of principle and pride and then wanted to stick it back to him. I think that's all fair.
That's fair.
I think it's all fair, that comment. Yeah. And I understand now because that's the best way it's been explained to me. You're right. Jamie Lyon and Jack Whiten completely retired from all rep duties. But in saying that, why are they allowed to do that if they're fit? Like, why are you if it's a part of the contract, why are you allowed to?
I just don't think it was part of the contract.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I just think that was different rules, and I think as it's become under one umbrella, the NRL they've made that rule. They've enforced it.
Yep.
Where you had a choice, you're like, I'll retire from rep footy.
Yep.
For this year, right? And then Jamie Lyon never said I'm available, because if he said he's available, he'd be available again. So you can sort of pick and choose as well.
Well, in 13,
Killer could have.
In 13, I know for a fact that New South Wales were trying to get him back in the team. Because we would joke around about it within the at coffees and that, because a couple of boys were made. I think Brett Stewart was in the 13 team and was thereabouts, and a couple of the other. Chocky was always part of the team. Anthony Watmo, and they were asking Jamie to come back and play, and he just refused.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think the rules were so different then. If Jamie wanted to play, he could have played, and then not played at the end of the year. Do you know what I mean? Like, he couldn't have played. If he didn't want to play for Australia, you had a choice.
I got you.
Like, because New South Wales has run different, the ARL has run different, and the NRL was run different. Now it's all under one thing. The NRL are running this whole thing. Volandis has got a fucking big problem with people not doing that. I think it's come from the real high ups with KP.
Yeah, gotcha. With regards to Jamie, and who was I speaking to the other day? It might have been the golf day. Was it someone at the golf day? It was an OG. It might have been Greg Bird, or it might have been Brian Fletcher, who was at the golf day talking about, because he was the scapegoat, right? So Jamie Lyon, whenever things would go wrong with the Blues, Jamie would always get feel the pressure. So I reckon it was opposite with Killer, where Killer would have preferred not to have played for New South Wales just because of all the drama in the Queensland dynasty, but then played played for Australia. But he just declined both of them.
Yeah, so got pissed off with everything.
Interesting space. I just wonder what happens with this KP situation moving forward. We had a chat about it. I don't think he plays for the Australian jersey while Mal Meninga's coach.
No.
I don't think
that
happens.
Yeah. I don't know. No, it doesn't. And good luck with that, because we win this year, Mal probably coaches for another 2. Yep. You know, and there's 2-3 years out of KP's peak.
Yep. Dylan Edwards plays for the next 2 years.
Dylan Edwards is there. Yep. Then that's you can pick after.
All right, let's get to a couple of topics. I want to double down on this one because it got so much traction, and I want to say that it is, although this situation is not something that I've wanted to talk about, I love the fact that everyone is so invested in this story at the moment with the Olivia Koenig news, Maze, with regards to Olivia. So this basically blew up. So Lukey drops content. So this is the positives of what's happened. Lukey dropped this content on Olivia. We clipped it up. Most views, comments, just flying. What a great sign for where the NRLW's at the moment, and the recognition that the women are getting in the game, because anyone who watches the game right now is agreeing with what I said about Olivia Koenig. So Koenig, 23, she had a season. This is some of the stuff that she pulled off this year. Had a season to remember. Saw her win Dally M last week and NRLW Player of the Season. Koenig had played 5 games for the Gillaroos before and appeared a certain starter for the Australian side's upcoming matches against PNG and New Zealand. Then on Sunday, she scored 2 tries, and she had about 170 metres with about 40 tackles on an edge on the back row, close to 40. I couldn't believe she didn't get player of the match again. I was on Taryn Aiken, so I collected, so I was happy. What are you really gambling with? But I was like, Olivia's going to win it. I thought Olivia was going to win it for sure.
Just pissed off.
And then Donald, and this is where I don't want to get it mixed up, because in order to sometimes stick up for someone, I don't want to, talk badly on the women that have made the team. But Donald opted for Kezzy Apps, Yasmin Clydesdale, and Mahalia Murphy. Congratulations to you, women. You've made the team, and that should be celebrated as well. But this is the
Who's
comment.
The coach?
I'm getting to it, mate, because this pissed me off. Brad Donald. I don't know much about Brad Donald, and I'm not saying that in a condescending way. I haven't heard of him. I didn't know. I haven't. I don't know if he's been the Australian coach in the past or what the go is. So these are the comments that pissed me off, though, with regards to him coaching the Australian team. Liv is probably not too far off. She was on the bench for New South Wales this year, as well, and she will be the next one in if someone did go down. When you've got the captain in your position in Kezie Apps, it's quite difficult. Then the versatility of Mahalia as well. So, first comment. Olivia Koenig was named on the bench. She wore number 15 for the first 2 games, and the reason I highlight this is she started all 3 games, mate. So is the Australian coach not watching the State of Origin game?
Probably not.
That's super disappointing. If I'm trying to progress the women's game, that he didn't know that Olivia Koenig actually not only started, she was a shout for the player of the series. She would have been super close if New South Wales had won it. Maybe Yasmin Clydesdale just pips her for New South Wales if New South Wales win the series. And she is so versatile. She played edge back row basically for the first 2 or 3 years that I've seen her play for the Roosters. New South Wales played her in the middle. They named Keely Davis at lock, but she played middle and then was able to move on the edge if something happened. So she's versatile and she started. And Brad Donald, that's his justification for not picking Olivia Koenig when
that's bullshit.
Mate, he hadn't watched the games. How do you pick an Australian team and not watch? I know it was at the start of the year and there's a lot of footy that needs to be played, but it's not like she let herself down throughout the season. She got Player of the Year and even for the NRLW.
So there's 21 people in the squad, right?
I believe so, yeah. 20.
So surely she can fit in the 21-man squad, right? If she's 21 women's squad, right? Yeah, she can fit there because she's versatile. She can play edge and middle. So they're a rarity. You got to pick it. It's political. She's pissed someone off. You don't get like this. You don't get like little cross through your name unless you've done something.
I can't figure it out because like, I don't know. I've only seen Liv from afar. She was actually at the NRL Nines. Had a chat to her the first time. Like she seems like a super sweet girl. She's always done everything right. I don't understand it. I think it's a joke. Another player as well, Jamie Chapman. She is. I'm telling you, mate. You know how invested I am in the women's game. Jamie Chapman should be one of the first outside backs picked. I think she's really pushing both Jess Surgis and Isabel Kelly to keep the centre position for New South Wales and Australia, but she should no doubt be on the wing. I know she had an injury-plagued season as well, but this is how bad it is. This is when you know it's bad as well. Like there's people are calling for Peter V'landys to overturn the decision. Has that ever happened for the men before? That's how bad this is. That's the extent. That's how bad the selection is that people were like, this is so wrong. And you mentioned before, like, she'd be part of the 21 squad. I said before last...
She should be in... That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not going to pick her as a starter, just to stop all this blowback, pick her in the fucking squad, you idiot.
But she should be as a starter no matter what anyway.
I know, but even if it's personal or anything like... Obviously, she's done something to piss people off. You're not the best player in the whole of the country and then get blackballed like this, right? To stop the blowback, to stop all people like this talking about on every single platform, pick her in the 21-man squad and just back off.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people aren't idiots.
Yeah.
You can read between the lines.
And again, going back to my main point right at the start, it shows the strength of the women's game and how invested people are. Not just like, because I didn't think it was going to hit as popular as it did, but you can see the engagement from people watching the game and how bad of a call this is.
You know, people just don't like watching people get fucked over.
Agreed.
That's what it is.
Agreed. Yep. So, all right, let's move on to the next, probably the biggest story of the week with regards to the men's. This is with all the international footy that's happening, and this is, again, a little bit disappointing, but I understand the decision. Panthers are defending abandoning the World Cup Challenge. So, this one comes from Ben Smith. Willie, your old club and mine, Hull KR, in the grand final this coming Saturday. What's your thoughts on this? And have you seen any of the games this year? And both thoughts on Panthers pulling out of the World Club Challenge.
First of all, congratulations, Hull KR and Willie Peters and that whole gang over there. It's massive. Like, I mean, I've said some smart-ass things about Hull KR, but fuck, it's a great place.
Yeah.
Like, I had a great time there. It's just like people ask me what it was like to live there, and I give my honest opinion. If you don't like it, just fucking chill out.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. But the people in Hull KR are beautiful.
And great people. And it is rugby league through and through.
It's massive.
Yeah, the rivalry between Hull FC and Hull KR
crazy. It's a crazy little town.
It's one of the better games to watch throughout the year.
But Willie Peters, what a story.
Well done, Willie.
Well done, man.
I think Sean Kenny Dowell's on his staff.
Skidsy's up there?
He's on his staff. Peter Hiku, my son, is playing in the centres.
Yeah, well done, run, guys. That's massive for Hull. I know what that town's like. It's crazy.
I tell you, there's a young little tearaway, Mikey Lewis.
Yeah, he's good.
He's a good player. I think he got man of the steel over there for OKR.
Man of the steel.
Man of steel? Man of the steel?
Man of steel.
Man of the steel?
Man of the steel.
Yeah. Steel of the man.
I was just thinking, who's been killing it over there for? Because to answer your question, I haven't been watching that much football.
Yep. So I watched
that much Super League anyway.
I watched, I started watching a fair bit. You get rugby league content fatigue by the end of the season.
Come on.
But I watched a little bit at the start of the year. I watched this game. I watched Hull KR versus Warrington because Big Slam and Sam.
Sammy.
Hull KR deserved to win. There was a bit of controversy in it, but Hull KR go on to Wigan. Wigan were dominant against Lee. I watched highlights of that game. A couple of players that have been over, like a young kid. Not young kid. He's not a kid anymore. James Batchelor, the captain for Hull KR. He's a stand-in skipper. He's going to be playing in his first game. So pumped for him. He was a young player at Wakey that I had a lot to do with.
Bevan French,
killing it.
Does he not want to come back to the NRL, or have we got a red line through him thinking that he can't handle it over here? I don't know. I just look at him playing over there. I'm like, right now in the NRL, he'd fucking kill it. When he left, the game was a bit different.
Yep.
There's a lot of fatigue factor in the game now. I'm not sure what position he plays, but he seems to be doing some crazy shit every week.
Him and Dryfield, they're killing it.
And
Dryfield,
maybe he's just happy over there. He doesn't want to deal with the drama here because if he comes back here,
they're superstars over there.
Yeah, I know, right? You're playing with Wigan, living up in the north of England, loving life, winning shit.
Yeah, winning trophies. They're heavy favourites to beat Hull KR in the.
God, I wish Hull KR wins.
Yeah, it would be good to see a team like Hull KR win because it's just always like St Helens, Wigan, Warrington, always thereabouts. Leeds won a whole heap. I'd love to see like a Hull KR, a Catalan Dragons, a Castleford, Cass like Wakey, Shaky Wakey next year. I'd love to see and Hull KR are the closest thing to that. They got close. Lee Leopards won a Challenge Cup a couple of years ago with Adrian Lamb and Lockie Lamb.
This is a real deal. This is the real Super League, man.
Yeah, Super League
Challenge Cup or anything like that. This is it.
This is Old Trafford.
Yeah, man.
All right, so let's get to the World Club Challenge. Super disappointing. Oh, so he's
sorry, I'll answer that. Yep. I didn't know you could just drop out. You can just go, I'm not going to play in the World Club Challenge? Is that I've never heard of it.
I think it says a lot about the scheduling and what's going on.
Yes, it does. It reeks of the scheduling again. The players are just over it.
So this is a quote
Player empowerment as well.
I think this is from Isaiah Yeo. Yes, it is. Missing the chance to tick the only box the Penrith players have missed during their 4 years of dominance is disappointing, but premiership winning Penrith co-captain Isaiah Yeo says adding the World Club Challenge to their pre-season is just too hard. Penrith officials confirmed the 4-time premiership outfit would not take on the winner of Sunday's Super League decided between Wigan and Hull KR for several reasons, including the massive player workload. The Panthers are scheduled to travel to Las Vegas for round 1 of the 2025 season and don't want to add a February showdown with the UK Super League champions to the schedule, with players not due back to training until January. Fully understandable.
Fully understand. I just didn't know you could do that.
I'm super disappointed for the growth of the game. I know it means a lot to the English teams over there to get the opportunity to play against the best team in the. It would be, imagine if Hull KR pulled this off in Hull and got the opportunity to play against Penrith. That'd be huge for the club. So I'm disappointed, but I fully understand what Penrith are doing.
And to get out of the English winter and get down here in the summer. That'd be nice.
Yeah,
that'd be a bonus for the English teams.
Do you think?
I understand from Penrith, and because of the Vegas thing, it's probably thrown a spanner in the works. They're playing it over there, and that's their main priority is winning premierships, not World Club challenges.
No.
But I just didn't know that you could go, I'm not playing. I thought it was like you have to fucking play. It was compulsory. They found a loophole or something like that, and they're going, we don't have to play.
Do you think it's a blemish on this Panthers team?
No, not at all.
Do you think any of the players would like to win one?
No.
Did you win one?
No.
You didn't?
I didn't play one. I was injured. Oh, okay. Remember when Sonny Bill hit everybody in Leeds?
Right.
Hit Marcus Bai, hit Ryan Bailey.
You played Leeds,
I was on the Gold Coast watching it with Bobcats. Smashed. I remember it was going, holy fuck, because we had about 5-6 starters out.
Yeah, okay.
And I think we got beat. But it means a lot more to the English teams. They want to come over here because the Wigan and all these teams that have beaten Penrith probably think they're a better team than Penrith.
Oh, I don't think that's it.
When they beat them, they win the World Club Challenge. I think they're world champions, right? That's the hit you get. That's what you get, right? You are
the name tag, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, you're not ever playing against the best. We don't really prioritise it like that.
Well, Penrith have had a strong lineup 2 years in a row.
Yeah, they've just been beaten.
So there's no excuse for that.
Yeah, I'm just saying. We don't prioritise a World Club challenge like the English do.
Yeah.
You know, and Penrith. What
is that condescending?
It is condescending.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah.
Like I hope Penrith would play, but they're not.
Yeah.
I just didn't know. I didn't know that you could pull out of something like this that has just been embedded in everybody in rugby league for the last fucking 25 years. A World Club challenge. That's what you do. The best, then the best, and you play over there, and it's something that's on the calendar. And I didn't know you could pull out of it.
Peter V'landys is
something needs to be fucking done. Yeah, that's what. So you can't do this.
They're about to go over the broadcasting deal. I think if there's any chance of international footy and games like this and trying to fit in an All-Stars game and
got to really fucking
trying to, I guess just going back to keeping the product of Origin what it is and maintaining that, because we don't want to lose that as a game.
We can't lose the World Cup challenge. I like the World Cup challenge.
Whenever we talk about extra games, people always, there are some that critique Origin. Any other code would love to have Origin. You don't touch Origin. It's its own beast. We're lucky to have it, and it generates so much money. But in terms
40% of the revenue.
Unbelievable.
That's what it is.
It's a beast. And like I said, AFL and Union would fucking froth to have Origin. But if we are going to prioritise and make the international game better, then we have to figure out the sample size of the season for sure. That's got to be the first thing.
That's the only thing that you can mess with. And I always say that people need to understand that's what pays the players and the clubs is the TV rights.
So
it's the broadcast. It's the 27 games. Yeah. And I think the players understand that. They're more like saying, we'll play you 25 games a year. Just the rep stuff.
Yeah.
And we're not, and don't touch Origin
and the World Cup.
And don't touch Origin.
Yeah.
But stop giving us tests at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Stop. I get it with the international game. Can we somehow fit that in the 6 weeks during the year? That's what we've always talked about. Like that needs to. There's been a lot of rumblings in the last sort of 4 or 5 years about players getting burnt out. It's fucking happening.
I think it's not going to change until the broadcasting deal with V'landys sorts something out. And I think he's aware of it.
No, 100%.
But he just can't do anything about it now.
You can't do it now, right? And the players are sort of like, you can see when they're just sort of flexing a little bit going, this will be a little shot at the game. This is what Penrith are doing. They're going, this is the era of player empowerment, right?
Yep.
Players are very powerful these days. They're like, do we have to play in the World Cup Challenge? No, you don't have to. Well, we're not.
Yeah.
So that's a shot, and they're only caring about each other, the burnout, the amount of games that they're playing. And Penrith, if anybody knows what's going on now, it's Isaiah Yeo, it's Liam Martin, it's Cleary, it's Luai, it's all that gang out there because they've had these massive runs in the semi-finals for the last 5 years. Most of the clubs been playing Origin, then they're getting given all these tests. So there's your litmus test out there.
Yeah,
see how these guys are going for the last 5 years. Now they're doing this. Like that's saying something. This is their 5th or 6th year going into this dominance, and they're like, "We're fucking done.
We're tired.
We are tired." And that's what it is. They're just going to the game. Well, we're tired. Do we have to play this game? No. Well, guess what? We're not. What are you going to do?
I think they've agreed to it. Yeah.
No, what are you going to do? Game like the game's going to go fucking. Oh well. All right. Shit, we have to swallow this one.
Yeah, we've got to have conversations about how.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a real conversation now because you need to get to the table.
Yep.
I don't know. It's pretty, from an ex-player's point of view, I love it, right? Because I understand as a supporter, fucking hate it. As a person who loves the game now, and you're like, fuck, that sucks. Not a good look. Player's perspective, totally understand.
Yeah.
Because that's the difference. That's why we have perspective as players and as people that are retired now and we're in a different life. But I understand. And it's the fucking strong stance.
So, like I said on the last episode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together my top 10 at every position. So, this is the most highly contested position, I reckon, that I'll be attacking this year. It's the top 10 fullbacks. So, here's the criteria for you, mate. And I'm going to talk through my list, and I want you to pick apart anything that you need to pick apart, and then also let us know in the comments what you would change. So, I am the CEO, I am the owner, I am the head coach of the 18th franchise, and I've got 3 years to keep my job. This is the criteria. Every single player at every single position is available for me, and I'm going to prioritise my order off the back of that in a top 10. So things I'm considering. Age, huge part. If I've got 3 years, then I want a guy that can play all three, obviously. Past accomplishments for sure. That matters, but as you get older, that doesn't matter as much, right? injury history is important. I'm projecting some players. Do they have any weaknesses? And I love versatility in my players. For some positions, it may change a little bit, but I'm going to kick it off with my rookies to watch who didn't make it.
Yep.
So a couple that I think are potentially top 10 guys next year. Keanu Kinney from the Titans. I love him as a player. Leo Hopewadi. I think he's going to be stuck behind Turbo. That's going to cost him ever being a fullback on this list, and because I think that's his best position. And KO Weeks. I'm excited to see what KO Weeks can do full-time fullback next year for the Canberra Raiders. I think he's a player to watch. Notable omissions. These three guys I don't have in my top 10, and it might be a little bit controversial, a couple of them. King Gutho, 30 years old. Chance Nickel-Klogstad, 29. Both of those two guys are similar. They probably would have been in my top 10 last year. They're getting to that age now where they're starting to slow down a little bit. Therefore, at that position, I think that cost them a little bit more than what other positions
33.
Would be.
If the other one, by the end of it.
The other big one is AJ Brimson, 26. Now, his one is purely injury. And I've got some other guys in there that got injury history, but Brimo, I reckon he's missed just as much footy as guys like Turbo and Latrell. I'd love to go back and have a look. That's just my gut feel. And then also, with what's happening at Brimo with the Keanu Kinney and the Jaden Campbell situation, I think there's a world in which Brimo plays more centres next year or moved around. So they were three really hard guys to put out. Would any of those three guys been in your top 10 before we have a look at the list, you think?
I understand with Gutho because he's put so much work in, right? He's played like tireless games, like for 10 years, right? He's ripped in like 20 games.
In the league, yeah.
13 so he's hardly missed a minute without being properly injured. So I understand with that. If you were going to start a whole different franchise and you're like, would you pick a Keanu Kinney or Weeks? Now, I'm not really sold on that young kid, but like you got to give him a little bit of time.
They're guys to watch for next year.
Yeah.
So that's why I've got them on rookie watch.
Yeah.
And every so there's a couple.
But I get it with Klokstad. I think you're just going off this year with Klokstad. It's like the decline happens around about this age.
Klokstad is a guy that was a bit of a late bloomer, goes to Canberra, has a couple of good seasons, but then also falls out of favour. So this is what I factored in with Chansey.
Yeah.
Has a good year at the Warriors. This year he was a bit banged up. Yeah. So he hasn't been a guy that's been consistently strong for
3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah, for long periods. So that's why I think he misses out over some guys that I think haven't been proven as chance, but have got a little bit more potential. I'm going to kick off with my first one.
I don't mind Brimo, but because of the age and just because he's been like, I know the injuries is fucking him. That's what's probably keeping you out, right? Because I think he's a top 10 easy.
Brimo's only 26.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. That the age thing, I'd push back against that. I'm like, I'd put him in there because of depending on this top 10 list.
All right, so this is where I think it's going to be controversial to start off with. My number 10, Jareem Buller. He's only been in the league for a couple of years. This is a projection one. I don't
mind that. He's good. 6'3", 4". Like he's a massive big body. He's only going to get better.
Yeah.
You'll be trying to build a club around him. That's what the Tigers are doing.
Yeah, I think so. I think
it'd be silly not to put him in there.
With Jerome Loy rocking up next year, he's 22 years old. He's done some really good things in games. Yeah, he's done some really bad things, but so have the Tigers. This is more of a projection. I love. I don't really see any real glaring weaknesses in him. He probably doesn't have the versatility. I just want him to play fullback. I love the age.
I think if you put him at centre or wing, I think he would do a job there easily.
And I haven't really seen him banged up too much in his first couple of years as well. So Jareem Buller, number 10. Scotty Drinkwater, number 9. Scotty Drinkwater probably for me would have been a little bit higher in the last couple of years. The biggest thing for Scotty, age is not too bad, 27. Past accomplishments, he's been around and been in good systems. Injury history, he's pretty available.
Pretty good.
Projections, I think this is where Scotty Drinkwater's at. Like I think I've sort of seen where I know with attacking wise of what he can provide, but the weaknesses for me, him defensively and some lapses that he has in games where he's consistently comes up with a few big moments in games where you go, man, like if he just got rid of that, but it's been in his game now for a couple of years. It's
still
the reason
fixable,
I got him. It's the reason, yeah.
He's still fixable. Like his defense is more of an attitude thing.
It's a concentration thing.
You just got to fucking put your body there.
Sometimes I look at Drinky where it feels like he's fully locked in. There are other games I'm like, he's sort of floating in and out of games here.
Talent-wise, he's freakish.
Versatility, I love that. That's a tick as well because I think Drinky could play 6 if you needed him to play 6 if another fullback played. So Drinky's at 9. Ryan Pappenhausen at 8.
Some good fullbacks, though.
Yeah, so hard. Fullback was so hard.
Can I say, if you're a young kid, if you're a young up-and-coming outside back. Where would you hone your skills in? Would you go, I want to just play left centre or right centre or wing or 5 up? Would you try and play fullback?
You try to play fullback because it gives you the versatility to play other positions if need be. So if you work on your passing game at fullback, it's going to help you if you end up playing centres. If you work on your kick return game for fullback, you can end up on the wing and still have that sort of trait. So I think fullback is the perfect spot for young kids to aspire to and then see how they develop. Ryan Papenhuyzen at 8, 26 years old for me. This one's obvious. Ages of tick, 26. Past accomplishment tick. He's a Clive Churchill midlist. Projections, I still think Pappy has still got his best footy in front of him. Weaknesses, don't really see too much. Maybe size is a little bit of a concern. Versatility, he's shown that at the Melbourne Storm. It's injury history. That's it. That's what pushes Pappy down to number 8. He would be floating around the 3, 4, 5 for me if it wasn't for the injury history. These two guys are exactly the same, 6 and 7. Tom Trbojevic and Latrell Mitchell. Age, 28, 27. Tick, that's fine. Past accomplishments, they've done it all. Projections, despite how good they are, I still think they could have got to another level if it wasn't for the biggest weaknesses. Same to the Ryan Papenhuyzen. Weaknesses, not many. Maybe Latrell fitness. That's never going to be a big part of his game. And yardage carries, but I also don't want Tom doing that. Versatility, they're as versatile as anyone in this back line, maybe apart from the guy that's just above him. Injury history.
That's it.
These two guys could arguably be number 1 and number 2 if they just didn't get banged up.
100%. So look at Tommy 2021 is the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
That season that he put together, no one's going to do that again. It is a joke.
Some people were talking like immortality, like if he kept on going on this path.
If he did 4 years of that, he'd be going there.
Yeah.
It's hard to replicate one. Fuck. Yeah, Tommy's got everything.
All right.
Same as Latrell.
All right, so the next one goes up, and this might be surprising to some people. Number 5, Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. 23 years old, tick. Right. Past accomplishments, performed for Australia and Queensland. Scored in every game for Queensland. Injury history, he's been available for the most part. I mean, he's had a few little tweaky hamstrings for the most part.
When you're that quick.
Projection, I still think he's got his best footy in front of him. Weaknesses, don't really see much. When Wayne said they were struggling defensively, they put him in left centre to try to fix that.
He's a shutdown centre.
That's what he does, and he's as versatile as they come. Hamiso, for me,
I like that.
He's a chance for top 3 in the next couple of years, I think. He's really slept on. The one part I worry about, he doesn't seem like he's an over-aggressive, maybe not the best communicator. That's maybe one part that's holding him back. Number 4, Reece Walsh, 22 years old. Age, love it. Past accomplishments, last year was pretty good across the board. Injury history, a little bit banged up this year. That's what's cost him. Projections, he projects higher probably than anyone on this list. Weaknesses, I guess if you look at some of the games where he didn't have his best games, he got frustrated trying to play too much, trying to kill on every single play. You need him to just pull back ever so slightly. Versatility, he could play 6, he could play fullback, he could play anywhere in He's another one that could easily jump this next guy. Number 3, James Tedesco, 31 years old, purely age.
Still killing it.
31 years old. Past accomplishments, everything. Injury history, best, he's always available. Projection, or apart from early on in his career. Projections, probably he's reached his peak. Weaknesses, doesn't have any. Maybe he gets involved a little bit too much, but that's
not a bad thing when you overplay stuff. Like even with Reece Walsh, going back to him, it's like he wants it too much.
Yeah.
Just temperament. Just put it down a couple of notches.
You want to have that dog in you, right? Number 2, Kalen Ponga, 26 years old.
I don't fucking mind this list. I can't really.
Age, tick. Past accomplishments, tick. Done it all. Injury history, CTE, the HIA. I worry a little bit about that. He's had a good 18 months, but you still got to worry about it a little bit. Projections, I still think KP's got his best footy in front of him. Weaknesses, not many.
None.
He puts his body on the line. He's tough.
Got none.
He's skillful.
He's got none.
With regards to Reece Walsh and probably Teddy, who overdo their hand, I think KP nails it pretty much most times, and he very rarely puts players in bad positions. And if you look at what he's done with this Newcastle team, I think he's the best example of he makes the team so much better whenever he plays. Versatility, they tried him at 6, probably not his go.
Go back to Walsh for a bit. Like he's some of his things come down to a fitness thing as well. His fitness levels aren't like an Edwards, a KP, a Teddy.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, like some of the mistakes he makes is always under fatigue. I think he needs to really go to that next level with his fitness for him to get to that top 3. That's what he needs.
I think that's fair, and I think Madge will bring out the best in him as well. What's that? Yeah, and well, Lukey's saying while she also vomits, that's a sign of dehydration potentially. That's a sign of diet.
Just the little things. It's the little things with him. I think if he just tweaks a little thing and someone's in his ear all the time, they're keeping him at those little 1%ers because his natural talent will get him to the fucking top of the game.
Yeah, good shout.
Just the little things in his games he needs to tighten up.
Yep. Number 1, Dylan Edwards, 28, the best in the game at the moment. Age, tick, 28, past accomplishment, done it all. Injury history. Yeah, he's got a little bit of a knock on the knee this year, but he has been the most available for Penrith, him and Isaiah Yeo in this this dynasty. Projection's probably not going to get any better than what he is, but he doesn't have to.
He's got everything out of his whole aura and soul, and whatever you can rip out of that human, he's gotten it out, right? And that's what you got to love, because you're going off talent. He's not in that. Like, he's not in that top 5 if you're going off talent.
Well,
you go off hard work ethic, mindset, and a fucking absolute animal. Dylan Edwards. That's what you can't measure. He's got the immeasurables all covered.
Agree. Versatility, not required, because you don't pick Dylan Edwards in any other position but to play fullback, so it doesn't matter. Weaknesses, he doesn't have any. I love the way that he doesn't overcomplicate his hand when at the back of shape. He's a team guy. My favourite part of Dylan Edwards, every time he gets the ball, he brings it back as quickly as possible, therefore puts Penrith on the front foot. So just recapping my top 10, were there any changes that you'd have at all? So,
how are you going to put Gutho and Klokstad and Brimo in that top 10? Front of who? The fullback is the most coveted position in the game. We can't go through 10 other positions and have that. You know you can't.
We'll figure it out.
No, we will figure it out, but we won't be talking. I can't even argue with that.
Yeah, okay.
But there's other top 10s I'll have an argument about, but those fullbacks, they speak for themselves. Okay. They're fucking out. They're out of this world. When you talk about wingers, front rows and stuff like that, I can't put Gutho ahead of any of those guys.
Okay.
Well, 5 years ago I could have. You're putting Gutho in there.
I reckon a year ago you could.
Yeah, like he's just, what happens, mate. His body's banged up. He's played so many games. You lose that meter of pace, and these young kids just keep coming through.
Here we go. Last year, Gutho, Chance, and Brimo are in this list over Hammer, probably, Pappy, because he's injured, and Dream Buller. There's no way I put Dream Buller.
Well, Dream Buller's he's probably the only one, but I can see him, if you're looking, have a look at the narrative here, right? You're trying to create a team here. You got a young team. Are you going to go with 31-year-old Gutho, or are you going to go with a 22-year-old Buller who's got 10 years in him?
That was basically
That's it. You're speaking from, you've got your GM's hat on now. It's different. You're not just going off your favourite players.
And
5 years ago.
And that was a hard one too, because I love Gutho.
I love Gutho, but we're being GMs at the moment.
Yep. All right, that's as accurate as I could do it. Let us know in the comments if you change anyone. I reckon the injury history from 6 to 8 in Tom, Latrell, and Pappy are going to be super controversial for some.
Yep.
All right, so on Tuesday, we went through the Pacific Cup squad. I gave my predicted lineup for Australia. Once I had seen Kiwis unavailable, these are the unavailable Kiwis. So this is from Master Mayo. Kiwis unavailable. Ronaldo Mortalo, Dylan with a knee. Dylan Brown, knee. Kieran Foran, ankle. Moses Leota, forgot to mention Big Moss. Brandon Smith, knee. Jeremy Marshall-King, that's huge. I've wanted to see Jez play. Britton Nikita, knee. Ankle, sorry. What a season he had. Kale Iro. He would have been another shout too. Tamade Martin, Big Nelson Asafa Solomona, suspension, and Joseph Manu, rugby union. Some big outs for New Zealand.
Are they all in their squad last year?
Manu was. Nelson wasn't.
No? You don't think so?
Because I can remember Moses Leota, Fisher Harris started, and then Griffin Neem and Leo Thompson come off the bench.
Yep.
So I wonder what happened with Nels last year. Maybe he was injured. Britton Nikita would have played. Jeremy Marshall-King and Brendan Smith were both injured last year as well, but they would have been a part of the team. Moses, obviously. Kieran played. He played 9. Dylan played 6. Ronaldo played on the wing.
Big outs.
Huge outs. This one's from Ruka Hard as well too, by the way. When I was trying to figure out that show when my dad was on, Nati NRL. That's the show that was on Māori TV. Your dad was on it. It had James Tamo, Arana Taumata, Billy Nawani, Aaron Heremaya, Jordan Rapana, and heaps of others. So the Kiwi squad, I've put it together and it looks a lot better on paper once you actually put them in the lineup. So this is my predicted lineup. Number 1, I don't think this is going to be the number 1. I think they'll go with Chance at fullback and put Petahiku in the centres, but I've gone Keanu Kinney at fullback. On the wings, Will Warbrick and Jermaine Asako.
They're pretty good wingers.
In the centres, Chance Nickel Klokstad and Matty Timokor.
Mm-hmm.
6 is Cody Nikarima. 7 is Jerome Hughes. The front row is where our strength is. Fish, the 2 co-captains, James Fisher-Harris and Joseph Tarpany. Phoenix Crossland at 9. In the back row, Scott Sorensen and Isaiah Papali'i. Lock, Murata Nikora. On the 14 jersey, I've got Aaron Clark. I love the bench rotation again, Griffin Neem and Leo Thompson. And I'd play Peter Hiku in the 17 jersey because he's a bit versatile. So therefore, Jordan Ricky, Casey McLean, Trent Talau, and Nafua White miss out. 18, 19, 20, 21.
It's just, it's not as strong as last year, but they put that black and white jersey on, they go crazy. It's not. This won't be an easy game for the Aussies.
Stacey
They'll
Jones.
be looking for that's what's going to get the Aussies the win. 30-0 last year.
Well, don't sleep on the Toggos too.
Oi,
let's get to
that's
the
what I'm looking at. I'll look at the Togo Usos.
No, just Toggos, not Usos. Usos are playing in England. So the Tongan squad, Tolu Kola, predicted lineup, and this could be either Tolu Kola or Leo Hopewadi, depending on the lineup. I think it would be Tolu Kola because he played there last year.
What a team!
So Tolu Kola at fullback, Daniel Tupou and Sione Katoa on the wings, Moses Sully and Paul Alamoti in the centres.
We're going to win it.
Tui Lolohea at 6. That's a big question mark. Isaiah Katoa at 7. Look at this forward pack. Adam Fanua-Blake. Saliva Havili, I think, will be the 9. Jason Tomalolo. Hamoli Olakawatu. Elisi Katoa. Keon Kalomantangi.
What?
14, Sonny Luke. On the bench, Felice Kafusi, Tanyela Paseka, Sitili Tupanua.
Yuck.
Toko's coming.
Oh, they're coming.
Siwa Wong.
We've won.
Leo Hopewadi, Kuli Kefufini Fuiaki, and Isaiah Yongi. They're a chance.
We should be a massive chance.
I like
what is going on.
Responsibly, I'll probably have something a little small.
We could take this. We could take the Pacific Championships out.
I think Tonga can win it. My big question mark is Tui Lolohea.
Yeah.
He's been over in the Super League for a while now. I wonder what
Surely we've got the young kid from the Tigers.
Yeah, the 2 youngsters from the Tigers, they must be injured. Latu Fainu, he had a hamstring injury all year, and Samoa Fainu, I thought he would have been a part of this squad as well. But I like the Fainu brothers. Tonga got a good squad.
That's the best squad they've put up since 2017.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's a good team.
That is a team. I looked at that the other day and I was like, we've got to be a definite chance. Everybody plays NRL. Everyone's a superstar.
Well, when you got OGs like fucking Felice Kafusi and Sitili Tupanua on the bench.
Come on, man.
Because I don't think they start over Hamoli Alakwatu and Lisi Katoa.
And it ain't a fitness thing anymore now.
Keon Kalomatangi in the middle.
All these brothers play like 70 minutes in the middle now.
Yeah.
Like Taumalolo gets up. Taumalolo's minutes has gone down, obviously, in the last couple of years. But like Fanua-Blake could give you 70.
Tonga are going to be a problem, man.
They can all hit too. It's going to be a sore game. That's going to. If we don't make the final, it's disappointing. I just think we got that team.
I think they can win it.
This is a blessing, right?
I think
I'm just saying, get to the final and we can do what we want.
Yep. You've got an unproven Australian team with a few debutants and some guys that haven't proven themselves at that level. This Tongan team's probably played a lot more together than what the Australian-New Zealand team has as well. Like, Toops has been there for ages. Sully's been there for ages. Lolohea's been there for... Even Katoa played at the World Cup. Adam and Tomalolo have been there. Ola Kawatu's been there. Elisa Katoa was a new one, but Keon Kolomatangi's been there. All these guys have played together, man.
Let the seven run the joint. Let him do what he does at the Dolphins. Like, let him create, let him kick, let him do everything. Right?
This could set him up for a big 2025, Isaiah.
Like, you got to give the keys to the young kid. You got to give the keys to the young kid. Lolohea's been there before. He's done a job. Depends what sort of shape he is when he comes out here. But he's done a job for the Tongan team before, right? So they're going to lean on him for his leadership and everything. That forward pack and everything else speaks for itself.
It's a good team.
No one come on, bro. That's one of the best teams I've fucking heard of.
Check out this Samoan squad, and I haven't put.
I forgot Samoa was playing.
Samoa playing England.
Yeah.
England haven't named their team yet.
That's solid too.
I'll do that next week. I'll do my predicted lineups next week. But Samoa squad, and later I'll get to the players that aren't available due to injury, pardon me. So they've got the MILF, OG, he's in there. Blaze Talangi, young up-and-comer. Dean Mariner picked Samoa over New Zealand too, by the way. Frankie Molo, Gordon Chen Kam Tong, Isaac Tungor, Jake Tungor, Jerome Luai, skipper, Jazz Tavanga, Jarrell Skelton, Jeremiah Nanai.
Yeah.
I believe he picked Samoa over Australia.
John, you think we might have got picked for Australia?
I believe he made the decision to Samoa.
Yeah, right.
That's the rumor. I don't. It's not. Hasn't been confirmed. John Asiata, Josiah Pahulu, Junior Pauga, Keenan Palacia, Big Lazarus Varlepu, Luciana Leilua, Paul Roach, Ricky Latelli. Oh, he's still going around, is he? Lee Leopards, how good. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. He selected Samoa early in the year over New Zealand. He made that clear that he wanted to play for Samoa. Sean Blore, he had a great season at the Storm as well. Simi Sasangi and Terrell May had a really good season for the Roosters.
No disrespect to Samoa, but Tonga's given it to them.
Well, look
if they're playing in this competition,
check out the Samoan list that isn't available. And
I'm only going off that.
And then
don't worry about it. Hey.
So Samoan coach Ben Gardner unveiled a star-studded squad for the tour, despite the unavailability of up to 13 big names.
Crazy,
it is believed that incumbent in New South Wales and Australian prop Payne Haas was going to be available for Samoa.
Really?
But that's not confirmed. That's just a rumour.
Yeah,
it's just a rumour.
Don't give me that.
As for who are injured and unavailable, Brian To'o, he injured his knee in the grand final. He's unavailable. And he will be at Stephen Crichton's wedding, who is getting married next week. He's also unavailable, Stephen Crichton.
Oh.
Spencer Leniu, not available.
So everyone at the wedding is just not going?
Well, Jerome is.
When they moved the wedding around for Jerome?
I'm not. Maybe it must be injury related as well. Okay. But Spencer and Critter are not going to be playing. Royce Hunt, Junior Paulo, Jaden Sewer, and Stefano Uto Ikamanu.
Big names, man. You put Critter and a couple of those other guys you said.
Brian To'o. Spencer Leniu.
Spencer, Stefano. Then that's going to be a battle versus Tonga. Tonga Samoa. Because I think it's a full deck of cards that Tonga's got.
Yep.
I don't think you're putting many people in that. That's out of it, you reckon?
There's probably a couple missing that.
But you're not putting them in.
Oh, who was I? I was thinking about him the other day. That's going to annoy me.
Yeah, I just don't think they're... I think the Samoan team's a little bit underdone. But imagine if they had those boys. You're thinking they could knock the Poms off. Not with that squad, but
yeah, the Poms will be strong. They've named a 30-man squad, but they're always
hard over there, man. You got to put in the fact that they're Samoan and the Tongan team, they're touring. It's a different vibe.
And the Fijian Bati squad will be playing the Cookies and PNG. PNG have named a team for this week, but they don't have all their Super League players. But look at the Fijian squad too.
Yeah,
Sania Taruva, Semi Velame, Micah Sivo, Tane Milne, Michael Jennings.
Yeah, Jenko's there.
Jenko's playing. Kevin Nguama.
There's the grey hair. I knew he was Fijian.
Mel Kosciuszko. Wonga Blake, Kurt Donahue, Caleb Navale, Kitoni Katoga, Kitioni Katoga from the Canterbury Bulldogs, Viliami Kikau, Tui Komakamita, Jordan Miller, Nathan Kegg-Smith, Kylan Mafua, Ben Nakubawai, Ben Nakubawai, Penioni, sorry with these names, some of these guys aren't as familiar and haven't played first grade yet, Tagi Tui Mua, Joe Lavudua, James Valley Vatu, and Bailey Bentley Hape.
Solid team. Fiji versus PNG? Yuck.
Yeah. It's going to be a hard game to commentate that one.
It'll be a hard game to commentate. Imagine you just be in the ice bath for fucking 3 days after that game. Yuck.
Especially with the New South Wales Cup players.
Man.
Some of these boys, the pronunciation.
Oh, bro, have you seen how hard they go, man? It's scary.
Yeah.
It's the Prime Minister's 13's playing this week as well.
Yeah, they are. It's got a really young team.
It's good that they're doing that.
I was doing the run home with Fletch yesterday, and we had a chat to Brad Fiddler. He's talking about so the only guy with PNG experience from in the team this year, because they've got a whole bunch of new like sort of younger players and sort of journeymen in the team, is Lockie Galvin, because he played schoolboys there last year.
Oh, he's a baby, isn't he?
So Damien Cook hasn't been over there, the skipper. Luke Brooks hasn't been over there. That's going to be cool to see them two play together.
Good, man.
Brooks and Galvin. So we'll watch that over the weekend. But there's a little bonus episode. We got a lot out of that, mate. We'll be talking more Pac Champs next Thursday. We'll be back next Thursday. And let us know what you think of my top 10 for fullbacks next week.
I don't think anyone can argue with that.
We'll see. They'll find a way.
No, they will. Throwing it out there.